Do you have any idea why good old-fashioned goal setting works? Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And in my effort to be Eli's dad, his mentor, his coach, I'm always thinking of things that, how will this motivate Eli to be the best person that he can be? What are some of the things that I can tell him? What are some of the things that I can show him? And, when I myself follow these guidelines by looking at visualizing my goals, my objectives, my burning desires, it plants the seed in my mind every day. And yesterday I went to the supermarket, and I don't like to go when it's crowded, for not just because of the pandemic, but also because I don't like to go when it's crowded. I like to kind of be there myself, and if you need help, there's people that can help you, so on and so forth. My point is, I went during the old people's hour, between 6 in the morning and 7 in the morning, when the only other people in there are people that are old like me, so it's easy to get around. Anyway, here's my point. As I'm walking around this huge kind of grocery store, I'm looking and I see a couple of different signs, and I look at them and I go, what the heck is that all about? And they're obviously, they have companies that have products that they're trying to sell, so they put up slogans that are there to grab your attention. And I always capture different ideas. I have my cell phone. I just send a text message to myself so I can have it later, so I won't forget, which, by the way, is a critically important thing to do. But let's talk about the things that I saw. Now, would these things motivate you? One was, I passed by a sign that said, "The seltzer with a mission." Now, does your seltzer have a particular mission? I don't know. Maybe that's going to motivate some people. And in my course of traveling through the store, like I said, it's a big store, going from the grocery section to the section where you can pick up charcoal and lighter fluid and so on, I passed through the feminine hygiene section, which I don't usually do for obvious reasons, but I did on this particular day. And there was a big picture poster of a beautiful young lady, and the caption said, "You've come a long way since your first tampon." And I'm thinking to myself, is this really a motivating thing? So anyway, I get home and I have a journal. I call it my Talk Thoughts, and I have in there, I don't know, close to 200 different pages, and I was looking for one particular thing for a video that I wanted to make. And I'm going through, I mean, 200 pages, I didn't remember where it was, but I knew I had it in there, okay? Your mind should be used for something more than storage. Your mind should be used for creativity, which, by the way, is the subject of one of our upcoming videos. My point is, in looking for this one particular phrase that I had, I came across a bunch of different phrases, and I said to myself, you know what? We haven't talked about these in a while. Let's share a couple and let's go over some of these thoughts. All right, the first one was, the beatings will continue until morale improves. Now, have you ever worked someplace where they're making more rules and making it stricter and making it more difficult for you as the employee, and they're punishing this and looking for negative and finger pointing and so on and so forth, and then they complain that we don't have good morale? The focus has got to be, when you are a leader, is getting people to want to do the things that you want them to do. Does that make sense? If they want to do them for a noble reason, they're motivated, so you have to sell your game plan as a motivating plan, and not do it as a "because I said so, that's why" attitude. It's the job of the coach to put the players in the best position to succeed. Business is a team game until it isn't. That's the exact attitude that I have with you, Eli, is in terms of bringing you up and getting you ready for adulthood. It's a team game. I'm going to show you things, going to critique things, going to give you ideas, going to listen to your ideas, and we work together. And the business is a team game until you're no longer in the house, until you're on your own, until you're an adult yourself. That same principle applies in the workplace, doesn't it? You want to put your players in the best position. You want to have your field goal kicker kicking field goals. You don't want to have him playing defensive back. Put your best players in the position where they're going to succeed. As a leader, it's critical to understand where your players excel and where they have weaknesses, and try and put different, don't put a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to work best for you. So get the best out of your people by working with their strengths and not focusing on their weaknesses. The people at the top have all the authority, but the people at the bottom have all the information. The goal is not to put the information up. The goal is to push the authority down. When everybody in the business is acting congruently, where they have the same focus, the same objective, the same goal, and it's clear what that is, then the people that are on the front lines, the people that interact with the public, then they're in a position to know this is what's going to work best. And when they do that, then they're in a position to make the best judgments about moving the company forward. And the people that are, in the ivory tower at the top, one of the mistakes that they make is they're trying to push the, is to be the boss in every single situation. And you can't do that because situations change the way people interact with each other. So you want to push that authority down. You want to have good training. You want to have, what can possibly happen. You want to role play so that every different scenario can be worked out beforehand, and the people that are on the front lines are making good decisions because they've been coached, and now they're the ones that are making the decisions about what kind of activity is going to be the most useful. GPS yourself to success. In today's times, we all have a GPS to get us from point A to point B when we don't know where we're going. And sometimes you run into a detour. What happens then? Then the GPS resets and gives you a new plan to follow. Isn't life like that? One of the things that we talk about all the time is it's critical to get to the starting line. Get to the starting line, make some moves. Then you're going to run into a detour or a pothole, or you're going to have to make a U-turn. There are things that are going to happen. Success doesn't happen in one smooth straight line. It's just not that way. So when we say GPS yourself to success, that means go as far as you can go. When you run into the obstacle, the roadblock, then you have to reset your GPS and get to a new starting line. Think of reaching success in that way, and you'll understand how you get from point A to point B, and it's not always a straight line. People that are in the 5% group understand that, and they accept roadblocks not as failures but as feedback, and the feedback is telling them, you know what, I got a detour, I have to make a new decision, I have to go in a new direction. Leadership isn't getting people to follow in line behind you, it's getting people to join you. That fits in with what we talked about earlier. When someone gives, the rules from the ivory tower, here we go, it's, this is the way it's got to be done, just like that. And when people are forced to do something because I said so, that's why, as opposed to when they want to do something, when you motivate people to want what you want because they want the same thing, that's leadership. That's getting people in a direction. You know, I think of Dr. Martin Luther King. You know, I had a dream. He had a particular mission in mind. He didn't force people to follow him. People wanted to follow him. Why? Because they believed what he believed. And he was able to successfully sell that to people, and he got a tremendous following, didn't he? You know, clarity is essential in whatever you do. Most people, though, they do this, they do that, and they do this, and they do that, and then when they look down, all they see is a pile of doo-doo, right? Stop looking for something to do and start looking for something to be. What is it that you want to be? And people take these little tasks and they're not putting them in context with the big picture. Once you look for something to be instead of something to do, then you're going to start to make more and more progress because your vision is clearer. Does that make sense? And this follows, these were just little sayings that I saw when I was looking through my talk thoughts. Everything changes when you decide to make a life instead of a living. Same concept. Once you decide that there's some particular goal, objective that you want to pursue, and you're focused on that, instead of what do I have to do to make, $10 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever it is. Too many times when people are going for their job interviews with companies, they'll say, well, I need to have this amount of money, every month or every week or whatever, instead of focusing on the important thing, which is, here I am now, how can I advance to this position? Does this opportunity put me in position to advance, or am I going to be making this amount of money now, but I'm going to be making it forever? I want to be in a position where I'm doing something I want to do and learning and advancing, and also my remuneration, that means making money, Eli, is increasing over time. So focus on making a life instead of making a living. I can is more important than IQ. There's a lot of smart people out there with letters after their names, with doctorates, so on and so forth, and they're not doing as well as they could be, as opposed to other people that are focused on getting the job done. Now, I have a particular friend that I've known forever and ever and ever, and he is not, let's just say, the greatest academic person that I know. He is, however, the person that is most focused on getting the job done that I know, or very close to it. And I'll tell you something, he is one heck of a successful individual. He doesn't know, he doesn't have an encyclopedia type knowledge, but when he has a mission, he's focused on it, and he says, I can do it. So I can is much more important than IQ. And I want to give you one that I saw that talks about mindset. Have you ever thought that it's not the seeds that are planted, but the soil? Because you can't grow a peach tree in a milk carton. The soil is the mindset. Think about that for a minute. If you have a narrow mind, a mind that is like this, instead of a mind that's like that, you're not going to be able to grow that peach tree. That's like trying to grow it in a milk carton. Does that make sense? You need to be able to spread. You need to be able to have a mindset that's not closed or locked. You have to be able to put yourself in the other person's position. And once you're able to do that, then you're able to expand your vision. One of the things that helps people that are in the 5% category, 5% people successful, 95% unsuccessful, One of the things that helps keep those people in the 5% group where they are is their vision is so expansive they give themselves the opportunity to see many different alternatives, many different viewpoints, and not just be glued to one narrow viewpoint. It takes a lot of soil to let the branches spread. Otherwise, the growth of the tree, the growth of the plant is limited. Isn't that kind of true with we who are human beings as well? We need to be able to spread our branches out so that we can get more nourishment. Does that make sense? And because we will never end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.